Safe and sound, the birds and the bees. Do or die, chalk and cheese. Part and parcel, pots and pans. Slowly but surely, spick and span. I just wrote that poem. Did you like it? Well, it's absolute nonsense. It has no meaning. It's mumbo jumbo, for those of you who were paying attention in the last video. But that poem consists of a lot of examples of alliterative, irreversible binomials, which are basically idiomatic expressions which contain two words which start with the same sound. Okay? And they're very common in English, and they're very useful to learn. And I'm going to teach you 10 of them right now. Okay? Let's rock and roll. Hello and welcome to another video, To The Pointers. Now, I'm trying to think of a name for my subscribers. I thought To The Pointers would sound good, but when I say it out loud, I'm not so sure. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, today we're looking at some expressions, some idiomatic expressions in English which have two words which start with the same sound. The same sound, not necessarily the same letter. And this is kind of a continuation video from last week, in which I looked at idiomatic expressions which contain two words which rhyme. As I said last week, these types of idiomatic expressions are very common in English because they sound good, basically. They flow and they sound good. They survive. The Darwinian evolution of language favors them because they sound good. There are always other options, but these are the expressions which survive over many years and sometimes decades and centuries. So let's get straight to it with the first one, which is chalk and cheese. Now, chalk and cheese as an idiomatic expression basically refers to two people who are complete opposites, or at least very different. So obviously chalk is a material which is very dry and brittle, and cheese is very soft and tasty. I don't think chalk is particularly tasty, so they're very different things. But of course there are many different things in the world, more different, more opposite, like fire and water, or sky and the ground, I don't know. But as I said, these types of expressions survive because they sound good. So at some point in history, somebody said chalk and cheese, another person said fire and water, but people liked the sound of chalk and cheese more, so it survived over time. I think it was a little bit more complicated than that, but you get the idea. So let me give you an example with chalk and cheese. I have a personal example, and it's my sister. My sister and I are very different. My sister is very eccentric and very sociable and very friendly, and I'm kind of the opposite. I'm quite an introvert. I'm not very good in social situations. I try to be friendly, but she's more popular than I am, basically. So we are chalk and cheese. We are very different in our personality. Chalk and cheese doesn't refer to physical appearance, it's more about personality. Okay, let's look at number 2. Safe and sound. Yeah, to be safe and sound means to be healthy and unhurt after having been in a dangerous situation. But really in more sort of day-to-day English, we use it sort of when we come home after a long trip or a very difficult day, and we say, home at last, safe and sound. So, in a comfortable, protected place. Sound in this case does not refer to like noise. No, sound refers to having no defects or no health problems or no injuries. So a sound person, if somebody is sound of body and mind, they have no problems, no injuries. Okay, let's look at number 3. Part and parcel. Now, part and parcel means something which is an integral or essential component of something, often of a job or an activity. So let me give you an example. Correcting students' grammar mistakes is part and parcel of being a teacher. Okay, so it's not everything, it's not the whole job. It's just one very important, essential part of being an English teacher is correcting people's grammar mistakes. So it's part and parcel of being an English teacher. And the next one, number 4, is live and learn. Now, we use live and learn as a kind of exclamation when we learn something new or surprising. So, for example, I thought I could run a marathon without training. Phew, you live and learn. So what I'm saying there is that I learned from that experience. It was a surprising lesson that I learned. So another quick example, I went out yesterday. It was cloudy, but I didn't take an umbrella. You live and learn. Yeah, I'm not very intelligent. If I try to run a marathon without training and go out without an umbrella when it's cloudy, I'm learning every day. I'm living and learning. Okay, number 5. The birds and the bees. Yeah, this is a funny one. It's the birds and the bees is basically a metaphor for sex. But don't use it in any situation. It's really used when parents have that awkward, uncomfortable conversation with their children about sex for the first time, when they kind of teach them where babies come from. They say, we have to have the talk about the birds and the bees. It's all very metaphorical and figurative to give the kids an idea of what the realities are without going into too many graphic details. So the birds and the bees. Okay, number 6, spic and span. Yeah, spic and span is quite simple. It just means very clean or immaculate, spotless. So I could say, I cleaned my kitchen yesterday and now it's spic and span. So there's not a spot of dirt in the kitchen. Now this is particularly interesting, this expression, because it consists of 2 fossil words. And fossil words are words which are obsolete, really, in modern English or in any modern language. But they were used in the past. So they're obsolete in modern English except for use in certain idioms. So spic and span, I have no idea what those words mean. And I don't need to know what they mean because we don't use them in modern English except in this expression to mean very clean. Okay, let's look at the next example. Do or die. Do or die refers to an ultimate big risk to achieve something. So when you're in a very critical situation and you really have no alternative, it's either fail or take a big risk to win something, then it's a do or die situation. For example, Manchester United were losing 2-0 to West Ham with only 10 minutes left of the match. So it was do or die. They had to attack. So in that situation, Manchester United were losing to West Ham United, which is very common, and they had no alternative. They had to take the risk of attacking. Maybe they would concede a goal, but the alternative was just to lose without trying. So it was a do or die situation. I should mention here, I said at the beginning, these are irreversible binomials, which means there's only one order to say these idiomatic expressions. You can't say die or do. It was a die or do situation. That just sounds terrible, to be honest. And it's the same with all of these expressions which I've been teaching you. Even the first one I mentioned right at the beginning, rock and roll, which is probably the most famous binomial of all time. You can't say roll and rock. You can't say Elvis Presley was a big roll and rock star. It's quite difficult for me to say, in fact. So all of them, you can't say cheese or chalk. It's chalk and cheese. All of them. There's only one order to say these things. That's very important. It sounds pretty bad if you say it in the wrong order. Okay, the next one. Slowly but surely. Yes, slowly but surely refers to a gradual but reliable improvement. So an improvement in something which maybe you don't notice, but it's very gradual, very slow, but it is improving. And that's the important thing. It's slowly but surely. I think the best example I can give here, which I think you can all relate to, and I certainly can, is when you learn a language. So you may feel like your English is not improving, but it is slowly but surely. So we all have those moments we think, oh no, I'm not improving. I'm just getting worse, if anything. But the reality is that you are improving very slowly, but very surely. So slowly but surely. Okay, number 9 now. bright and breezy. Yeah, this is a nice one because it means cheerful and full of positive energy. So it's referring to a person who is feeling very good, very energetic at that time. So for example, wow, you must have slept well last night. You're very bright and breezy today. Okay, so it's a very positive feeling, a very positive mood. I'm bright and breezy. It's usually when you wake up in the morning and you've had a good night's sleep and you're ready to face the day. Okay, and the last one, number 10, test and trace. Yeah, I saved this one for last for a reason, and it's because it's the newest of all of these idioms that I've mentioned today. And to test and trace, it's related to, in Britain, it's the NHS, which is the National Health Service scheme to combat COVID, basically. It's a test and trace scheme. So I think it's probably quite clear what it means, but test, so they test the people to see if they have COVID, and then if the person tests positive, they then trace, so follow the line of where this person caught COVID, so and where that person caught COVID. So they try to trace the origin of this outbreak of COVID. So that's the trace, test and trace. And alliteration is very commonly used in this kind of situation because in this case it's a government message really, or a government scheme. And it's easy to remember alliteration, so test and trace. Probably the most famous example of alliteration from a government or an institution is keep calm and carry on, which is a very famous poster which we've probably all seen in the last few years. But the origin is from the war, when the government wanted to send a message to the people of Britain just to keep calm but carry on. Keep calm and carry on doing what you were doing. Be productive in the factories or whatever. So the keep calm and carry on, the k, that's alliteration. As I said in my last video, I don't expect you to remember all of those expressions, maybe one or two of them, but that's not really the objective of this video or the last video. It's more just for you to get an idea of how English works. As I said, all of these expressions have survived over the years for a reason, and it's because they are easy to say and easy to remember. So they survive this evolution of the language. Okay, if you know any more similar expressions which have this alliteration, put them in the comments, and I'll see you very soon for another video. Take care. Bye.